Okay, so when you hear the word constitution, what pops into your head? Probably some dusty old legal document, right? Well, I want you to just toss that idea out the window for a minute. Today, we're diving into Kenya's 2010 Constitution, and you should really see it as a revolutionary toolkit, one designed to put real, tangible power directly into the hands of the people. Let's see how it's supposed to work.
And that really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. What actually gives people real power over their leaders and their country? Is it just about, casting a ballot every few years? Or is it something much deeper, something written into the very DNA of the nation? As we're about to find out, the answer is baked right into Kenya's constitution.
So what's the big deal here? Well, at its core, this document represents a massive shift in power. You see, we're moving away from that old-school top-down model where all the decisions come from the very top. Instead, we're shifting to a new system of citizen-led governance. This is so much more than a new set of rules. It's a completely new social contract, where you, the citizen, are the ultimate boss.
And this slide right here, it just nails the point. It makes it absolutely crystal clear. Leaders do not own power. They are simply custodians. It's a public trust, assigned to them by the people, for the people. Think about that. Their authority is borrowed. It's not permanent. That single word, custodian, it changes the entire game.
Okay, so this whole idea of people's power sounds great, right? But what does it actually look like in your day-to-day life? Well, let's talk about two things that affect literally everyone: the land you live on and the environment that surrounds you. The Constitution actually gives citizens direct power over their physical world.
Look, anyone who knows Kenya's history knows that land has been a huge and often painful issue. We're talking disputes, illegal seizures, a real mess for a long time. So to tackle this head-on, the Constitution gets rid of the old, murky system and brings in a National Land Commission. The whole point here is to bring in some much-needed transparency, accountability, and fairness, putting a stop to the bad old days and making sure land is managed for everyone's benefit.
Now read this quote. This isn't just some nice, fluffy sentiment, okay? This is a legally enforceable right. That means you, as a citizen, can actually take someone to court if the environment is being harmed, because it's a violation of your personal rights. How powerful is that?
And it doesn't just stop with broad statements, it gets super specific. Check this out. The Constitution actually sets a hard target of at least 10% tree cover for the entire nation. Now, to put that in perspective, at the time, the level was way down at something like 2.3%. So this wasn't just a small step, it was a massive, legally mandated leap that citizens can use to hold the government's feet to the fire.
Okay, so this all leads to a really big question: accountability. If the people are really the boss, how do you make sure your employees, and by that I mean the leaders, are actually doing their jobs right? Well, the answer is packed into what's known as Chapter 6 of the Constitution, which is all about leadership and integrity. And let me tell you, it sets a very, very high bar.
The whole idea behind Chapter 6 boils down to two words: public trust. It's this really powerful principle that says, hey, any authority a leader has isn't theirs to own. It's a responsibility. It's kind of like a gift given to them by the people, and it's meant to be used for service, not for lining their own pockets. This is the bedrock for all the rules that follow.
So the Constitution isn't just a rule book. It's actively trying to shape the kind of leadership the country gets. It basically says no thanks to that old authoritarian style, the my way or the highway approach. Instead, it champions a democratic leader, someone who is accountable, who actually consults the people and encourages them to participate. It's a blueprint for the kind of leadership a country run by its citizens really deserves.
And again, this isn't just about big, abstract ideas. The Constitution gets down to the nitty-gritty. Take Article 75. It basically lays down the law for state officers, saying their conduct, not just in the office, but in their private lives too, has to be beyond reproach and must never demean their office. Accountability doesn't stop when they clock out.
And if you want specifics, just look at this list from Article 77. It's a whole list of things state officers absolutely cannot do. No holding down a second job, no running a political party at the same time, no using the office to get rich, no secret bank accounts outside the country. The message here is loud and clear. Public service is a full-time commitment to integrity. Okay, so let's be real for a second. Having this incredible Constitution on paper is one thing. But making it a living, breathing reality, that's a whole different ballgame. And it's super important to acknowledge that there are very real challenges.
We should see these not as failures of the Constitution itself, but as hurdles we're still trying to clear on the journey.
So what are these hurdles? Well, the source material points to a few big ones. For one, there have been big delays in actually passing the laws needed to make the Constitution work. Public awareness is another one. A lot of people simply don't know the power they have. Of course, corruption is a massive problem, and this is a big one, what's called a passive citizenship. Basically, if people don't get involved, the whole system stalls.
And that right there, that passive citizenry point, brings us to the final and honestly the most important piece of this entire puzzle. Because while the challenges are absolutely real, the Constitution itself points to the solution. The real power, the ultimate responsibility for making this document come alive, rests with you, with the citizens.
So you're probably thinking, okay, but what can I actually do? Well, it breaks down into a few key steps. First off, you gotta know your rights. You can't use a tool you don't even know you have. Second, participate. Get involved in public affairs. Third, be ready to challenge injustice. Use the courts. And finally, and this is huge, when you vote, choose leaders who actually live up to the integrity standards of Chapter 6, true custodians of the people's trust.
So when you boil it all down, Kenya's 2010 Constitution isn't some dusty book on a shelf. It's more like a workshop. It's got all the tools laid out for you, the rights, the rules, the systems for holding people to account. But here's the thing about tools. They don't do anything on their own. Someone has to pick them up and start building. Which leaves us with one final thought. The Constitution provides the tools. The question is who will build the future?